one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. And then after that, I don't think I would give my third, fourth, or fifth movie probably over a seven, like low sixes. So coming in at number five, I have Civil War. We all saw that together. Decent film. I didn't really care for the ending, but again, just my opinion. Number four, The Fall Guy. Again, usually wouldn't come anywhere near a top five movie of the year for me, but just made its way into there. Number three, I got Deadpool and Wolverine. I actually didn't see this until probably like 3 or 4 months after it was in theaters. So later than everybody else, and a lot of people had said that it wasn't that good and they didn't like it. I liked it. I like all the Deadpools. I think it is what it is. You kind of know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty solid. Number two, I have Gladiator 2, a movie we also saw together at the IMAX, and we kind of all knew wasn't going to be as good as the first one, but it was still a super solid movie. And number one, easy choice, Dune 2.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh yeah. Dave?
Yeah, not a great movie, or not a great year for movies. It was pretty wild, like noticing that. Like, geez, um, it was pretty lopsided with one amazing one. But yeah, so mine, outside looking in, is Furiosa. It got ripped a lot, actually. Sorry, I read that totally wrong. Civil War. Same thing that Ben said. It was underwhelming. It wasn't what we all thought, but it was still good. It was unique. But outside looking in. Then number five, I've got Furiosa. Just made it. Yeah, it got ripped, but I enjoyed it. I didn't. I thought Fury Road was overhyped. I still enjoyed it, but I thought it was a little overhyped. And then I saw Furiosa get ripped, and I was watching a hotel room a couple months back, and I enjoyed it all the way through. I thought Chris Hemsworth did great in it, so thought that was pretty solid. Number four, I got Gladiator 2. Again, it was definitely nowhere near the original, and it was even disappointing for my expectations of this in general. But it looked good at a $300 million budget. It was entertaining on the IMAX screen, so we'll give it to it. Number three, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I thought that was a pretty solid movie. It wasn't Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or anything like that, but it was still good. I thought the story and everything was entertaining, and I enjoyed it all the way through. Two, Deadpool and Wolverine, of course. We talked about it at length. I really enjoyed it. Solid entry into the MCU. The MCU needed it. And then number one, yeah, not even close. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Dune 2, just absolutely incredible.
What?
And another movie I've said enough about, but just brilliant.
Well, my list consists of mostly the same movies. My outside looking in, I do have Wicked and Gladiator 2. Wicked was pretty solid, well done
Wow.
movie.
I thought Wicked would be in your top five for sure.
I
It
thought it was
almost
your
made it,
one.
but no, I couldn't do it. Number five, this could be recency biased, but it is Nosferatu. It was pretty solid for like horror movies this year. It wasn't a lot of great ones, but yeah, I did enjoy it. It was I didn't so say I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it in the way of how dark and crazy it was. You know, it wasn't a fun, happy movie, but yeah, it was good. Number four, Civil War. Same thing you guys said. Underwhelming. I feel like it could have been a lot better, a lot more large scale, but it was A24, so it was more of a personal story. And yes, great acting. Still a good movie. Number three, Alien Romulus.
Oh,
So it wasn't
huh.
the best Alien movie, but that like final 20 minutes was wild. And just the birth of that like new alien that came out and the like the
Yeah.
OG style where it felt like it was back in the 80s like the original movie. So yeah, it was a good movie.
That'd probably be OLI for me. I kind of totally forgot about that movie. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. And then number two is Deadpool and Wolverine. Still had a great time watching that in theaters, so it's got to be on the list. And it was a nice, refreshing Marvel movie, something we haven't gotten in a while. And then number one is Dune Part Two. Yes, I mean
Wow.
it's all the same, but it's obvious. Like it's the best movie of the year, and I hope it wins plenty of awards. It'll check out our cities this year. I'm sure it'll get a couple more.
I would imagine it'll be talked about a couple times.
All right, let's move on to the tougher category here. TV series. Dave, would you like to start this one off?
Yeah, this is it was tougher, like you said, and I'm really interested. I think we're gonna have a variety of lists here between the three of us, because there was a variety of solid shows out there, and I didn't get to some of them. I'm still catching up on one, which I think maybe could have made the top 5, but I haven't finished it yet, so it makes my OLI, and that's Outer Range Season 2.
Hey.
Dropped this year. Josh Brolin, I've talked about it recently and what I've been watching. I'm really enjoying it, and in my opinion, so far, Season 2 is better than Season 1. It's picking up, like things are getting wild. So I think by the end of it, it maybe could have cracked this top 5, but
That sucks. It's canceled.
Finish it in time. Yeah, we learned that last episode that it apparently got canceled. So there was supposed to be a season 3. It does not conclude in season 2, so that's going to be a rough one.
Netflix could pick it up or something.
Yeah, I guess Josh Brolin, part of it too is he's busy doing other stuff, and he's a pretty major part of this show. It'd be weird if he wasn't in it. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. But in my top 5, at number 5, I've got The Rings of Power on Amazon Prime. There, we covered it at extent. It was a mixed bag of reception from audience and critics, but I enjoyed it again, just like season 1. Season 1 got ripped. I really enjoyed season 1. Season 2 had issues, but I still really enjoyed it. Number 4, Fallout. Thought they killed it. It was a great show. Really, really loved the way they did it all. Super unique and creative. Just a fun watch. Number 3, I've got House of the Dragon. A bit underwhelming, in my opinion. This should be at number 1. But it didn't do exactly what we were hoping for. It definitely had some highs, but it had a lot to be asking for too. So got that at number 3. Number 2, The Penguin had a strong finish. I really enjoyed watching this series. In solid nerd fandom show as well. Colin Farrell just killed it, and so did Christina. It's not Miliani, I don't think.
Christina Milian.
Yeah, there you go. Christina Sibidaba. Sophia Falcone kills it, so really good show. And at number 1, the one that took home a bunch of awards, and I think they're talking about a season 2, which it wasn't supposed to have, but that is Shogun on FX. The show's great. I loved it. It was really authentic. It felt like you were taking a peek into the actual history of Japan at points, and just the costume design and everything, acting, it was solid. So I think that's the overall pound for pound best series of this year.
I like it. Solid list. Ben?
My outside looking in is actually Penguin.
Whoa!
It was tough for me. Like, could have easily been in there. I liked it a lot. I narrowed mine down to about 8, and any of them could have been in the top 5. Like you guys said, is a strong year for shows. But at number 5, I have Shrinking. Show neither of you guys have seen. Jason Segel, Harrison Ford are 2 therapists that work together. Kind of like a dark comedy kind of show. So pretty solid. I like it. I think there's going to be a 3rd season, so we will see about that. At number 4, I went with House of the Dragon. Kind of like what Dave touched on. I'm biased towards it. It is going to be in my top 5 no matter what, but a little underwhelming. Number 3, I went with Landman, a fairly recent show. Billy Bob Thornton. I actually just watched. It's not, the first season hasn't concluded, so I thought about not putting it on there, but I've seen 7 episodes. I watched it all in the last week. Really good. Liked it a lot. Billy Bob's super good actor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is that so? Is he just an oil tycoon? Sorry, just real quick. I'm really interested in that show. I've heard really good things. Is he just an oil tycoon, or what's the basic?
He's not
premise
really
of
the
it?
tycoon as like the head hands-on guy.
Okay.
Like he's kind of in charge of what's happening on site. The guy above him, why am I blanking on his name? Madman, John Hamm.
Yeah.
He's like like he's never even at the oil fields. He's always doing business stuff.
Classic.
But yeah, Billy Bob just kills it. Like super sarcastic and funny. But a lot of serious shit happens obviously throughout it too. So very good series. Number 2, I went with Rings.
Oh.
I I liked it a lot. Yeah, it was close. My 2 through 4 could have probably been in any order, but that's what I settled on. Rings at 2, and then number 1 for me is Shogun as well. Just
Nice.
favorite series of the year, something different that we haven't really seen yet. So I thought it was really good.
Nice.
Not bad, not bad. All right, well, for my OLI, this is going to be surprising, but it's House of the Dragon. Just because it was underwhelming. I felt like the pacing was super off, where the best episode was episode 4, and then the last 4 episodes after that were like, are we building to something? And then it was just a cliffhanger for the next season. So I still enjoyed it, and I still love all the series in my top 5. So, you know, it's like the stepchild. Number 5, Rings of Power. Just like you said, it built on everything from season 1, expanded more. I loved all the stuff with Sauron creating the rings for everyone, corrupting Celebrimbor. R.I.P. my boy. And number 4, Squid Games. Just binged it, dude. It wasn't as good as the first season, but it was still really good show. Like, they brought it back for sure, and it did kind of like House of the Dragon. It did end on a cliffhanger, but I still feel like it built up to that moment, not just, you know, the middle of the season was the best part. So, Squid Games. Oh yeah, and then the season 3 comes out like early 2025 too. It's already filmed, so you don't have to wait too long. Nice. Number 3, Fallout. Great season 1 of a show. Like, damn, I was so surprised by it, especially being a video game adaptation. Those don't work out most of the time, but this one was.
Halo. Looking at you, Halo.
Right. So Fallout, Last of Us, there, bringing it back with the video games.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Shogun. Everything you guys said, just super original. Like, I love the samurai age too, so I always love going back to that. And number 1 is The Penguin. I didn't think you could like bring a Batman series to this level, where it's like on the level of The Sopranos, where it doesn't even need to be about superheroes, but it's superhero adjacent. And just the whole ride with Victor and how things end with him was brutal, and you know, you think you're like kind of rooting for the Penguin the whole season, and then at the end they just make you feel horrible for doing that. Where you're like, why was I rooting for this guy the whole time? He's a piece of shit, you know? Like, what was I doing? Yeah. So yeah, it was an amazing season of television. So I got to give it to him.
Nice. Hey, and real quick, sorry. At least it should be in my OLI. Maybe even removing Rings of Power from my top 5, and I don't know why it just clicked in my brain, but I didn't think about it. I think Dune Prophecy is at least in my OLI. I really enjoyed it, so I didn't even consider it when I was making this list. It might not supplant Rings because of the stuff Rings did, but it's at least OLI. Dune Prophecy.
It'd be like 7, I guess, for me.
Yeah. I have Fallout probably ahead of that, and Fallout and Penguin were my OLI, so I'd still take both of those over Dune.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's no Dune Part 2 or Part 1.
That's
God, no.
All right, let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Why So Sidious, a Nerd Podcast. Joining me today are my co-host David Cochran and very special returning guest Ben Donahue, who has been here with us for these Dune episodes. And don't forget to check out some of our other episodes that are out now. We have our coverage of this entire season. And 1 and 2 is one episode, 3 and 4 is another episode, and now we are doing 5 and 6. And we have our latest Nerd Therapy Star Wars edition with Clan Brandalorian, going over a ton of philosophical questions, what ifs, things like that. It was a long, fun episode, so if you're looking to get into some Star Wars, go check it out. And we have our latest Week in Geek, where JD and I broke down the new Superman trailer, with other DC news, Marvel news, had a little Andor quote in there, so a lot of stuff in it. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Why So Sidious Pod on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube, where we are live right now. And it is the first of the year if you are listening on YouTube, so expect our cities, a fresh box office draft, Things will be coming up soon. And this is, of course, your spoiler warning. If you have not completed Dune Prophecy Season 1 and you're feeling crazy, then you can keep listening. But if not, I'd probably go watch the episode first. So let's do episode 5 first. We have a quick summary. This episode is titled In Blood, Truth. The political and personal stakes escalate. Desmond Hart rises to greater power under Emperor Carrino, while secrets about his lineage reveal he is a blend of Atriedes and Harkonnen, possibly connected to Tula. Carrino, Atriedes, and Michaela fail in their attempt to assassinate Desmond, leading to his capture. Meanwhile, Lila is resurrected but now embodies the spirit of her ancestor, Sister Raquella. So we'll start this off on Seleucus Secundus. They have this Mortal Kombat looking army. You guys get that vibe? It looked like Scorpion or with the chest plates they had on. But they're ready to go to battle, which doesn't really seem like they do. And they're going to leave the ships in orbit to show the power. And this is where we meet Francesca. She's been in the flashbacks, I guess, right? As a young Francesca.
I think it was a younger version, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she's Constantine's mom. And this is setting up some tension between Carrino and his wife, the Empress, of course. Constantine meets with Nez to apologize for being a coward in the previous episode. And there was this like badass portrait of the Imperium on the wall. Did you guys see that? That was pretty cool. Like a painting.
I didn't, but it's nice of him to apologize being a coward before he goes and be a coward again.
And then he meets his mom. And I know you guys kind of hinted this, but do you think Constantine has any potential here? Like, I guess after watching the finale and his dad died, Nez is on Arrakis. Do you think he might be the emperor now, or next in line with his mom? So do you think he has potential here? You think he's going to step up in any way, or is he just going to keep being a coward? Maybe a Theon Greyjoy?
I think he's just as bitch made as his dad. I think the apple does not fall too far. Yeah, I think he needs somebody to pull his strings if he's going to be doing anything. He didn't deserve this. The only reason he got it is because his dad has been imprinted by this Bene Gesserit who just totally manipulates him. So that's the only reason he's finding himself in power. I think he's going to be what's a good comparison? Yeah, Theon's a pretty good one.
A heroic moment to save his sister at the end.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, just a coward and pretender leader trying to be intimidating, but he's just a Theon at heart. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah.
And Valya meets with Francesca, and she sent her here. These webs keep growing. They're always out there. There's always a backdoor plan. And she needs her to guide Carrino back to the Sisterhood. And she's planning on taking out Desmond. And then Yaviko meets with Francesca, gives her a little kiss, and she says that she just wants her son to be safe. And he's got that dog in him when it comes to her, you know. That's his
dude
one.
Was immediately back in love again,
right?
Like, just zero poker face there. Like, oh my god, dude, get it together. Yeah, and I thought that was interesting though. We learn more about it as we hear them talking about the imprinting that the Bene Gesserit do, and it's pretty interesting. I thought it was a cool little aspect of this thing, and you can tell he's just absolutely smitten with her as soon as she comes back into the picture. So.
Constantine meets with his mother, and he says, you know, what was your purpose in having me? You left me with a father who doesn't want me. What's the purpose in that? And she's like, a man who's driven by fear. So Constantine's in a real hard place here. Like, I mean, I didn't know that was his mom the whole time, but apparently he knew, and she wasn't in his life. So, kind of sad. But hey,
you know, Aegon. I think Aegon's a good comparison for how this guy's going to be from House of the Dragon. I think he's going to be somebody who needed a mother figure, has mommy issues, and is trying to overcompensate through his ruling. So yeah, I'll go with Aegon.
Right.
Yeah, he seems like a cool kid.
But she tells him you're here to protect your sister, including the ones who claim to love her. A little backstabbing going on. And the Sisterhood needs her on the throne ASAP because we know she's the chosen one that they've been, you know, manipulating bloodlines and matches to get to. So let's go to Desmond and this rebellion he's trying to stop. So Valya's brother, or no, nephew, excuse me, comes to apologize. And he's like, it was poor judgment. I didn't mean to anger you. And then just throws her under the bus like it was all her. She doesn't bring anything but her family's shame. And he wants to find out if they're part of the rebellion or the spice trade. And they do a little line of spice together, which I thought was pretty funny, just right on the hand. Oh my gosh. And he tells them that, the rebels use the underground market and smugglers could give you the info. So he does give out good information, which does get... I forgot her name, Michaela, in trouble.
Oh, is that the Bene Gesserit Fremen?
Yeah.
Undercover?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I couldn't remember what her name was. Michaela. Okay.
I kind of thought he initially went to that meeting with Desmond, like Valya sent him, and he
Right.
was gonna go for her. But then at the end of it, you're like, okay, well, clearly he's changed his mind because he gets that little device that
Yeah, records
everything she's doing, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
But she's off planet now, so we'll see how that leads. But I'm sure he'll use it against her. And Desmond is on to Kieran for sure. Like when he goes to talks to him, like like what are you doing here? And then he goes and he confronts Michaela.
What are you doing?
What are you doing here? He orders a full search of the place, and he says a Fremen here profiting off the rape of your own planet, which is kind of wild. Like, you're here selling spice, like, you should be against this kind of thing. And he really wants to know what the Sisterhood is up to. What do you guys think of this whole interrogation into Michaela?
I think she's a cool character. I like her. She's interesting. She's got that Bene Gesserit Fremen combo kind of going on there, which obviously Kieran notices when she uses her knife and absolutely dismantles this dude with her Bene Gesserit knife. And I liked her character just as a whole, even up to the point where she ends up complaining to this Mother Superior, like, hey, I used my entire life building up this area that I had, and it just all got thrashed and burned down. And you're saying, yeah, well, just another day. So it was just interesting to kind of see her go through this whole thing. She's obviously crafty and has built this entire program going on here. So she's a super interesting character. Anybody that's Fremen and Bene Gesserit is automatically interesting.
Exactly.
that's a good point. Yeah.
And didn't she send her to Arrakis? Or she told her to go to Arrakis? Is that what it was? She sent her somewhere.
I don't remember where she got sent.
I don't know if she got sent anywhere as much as she just escaped the bar
Explosion?
blowing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember
'Cause
what
I think
the
she was
finality-
going into that ready to like die there as it explodes.
Right.
And then Kieran was just like, get off this planet. I never want to see you again.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
we don't see her again.
That's true.
So I'm sure she'll
Arrakis
pop
would be the
back
spot.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kieran Atriedes is there to get her back. There are some solid action scenes. I do love how the shields, when it's blue and then it slowly goes to red as you see them kill him. That was cool. And she's badass too. Good the tag team action there. And Desmond does find her sisterhood kind of outfit right before it explodes, like basically cementing that the sisterhood are
fairly
behind.
convenient.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit. Classic.
Yeah.
No, that was dope though. That I will say, it's not like incredible and groundbreaking, but the fight choreography in this series is solid.
Yeah.
When they have these little hand-to-hand knife battles and stuff, like it looks really good when they do it. So I will give them that. It's weird with the shields because you have to go slow in order to get the kill, is the whole common saying, like slow knife pierces the shield kind of deal. It's obviously not always 100%. Like some of those are pretty damn fast, and it just turns red to blue real quick, or blue to red. But no, I think they did a really good job overall, though, with this show.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of nitpicking, but just like how fast throughout this whole series they just slice through like what's basically the Imperial Army guy,
Yeah, even like sideways
just
across
like
the
chop
chest.
suey, like, oh, these guys have never learned how to fight in their life.
Yeah.
Which,
There were
when
like
Desmond
15
gets-
people there.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw this today. Someone kind of pointed out, like, when Desmond gets his first big, basically platoon, that the start. I know we love origin stories in this series of the starter car.
Yeah.
Same planet.
Which is super interesting.
Yeah. Right.
And it's also wild just thinking again, this planet that they're on where we're seeing this origins yet again. It's this lush planet with water and greenery and all this stuff. And this is the planet we see in Dune that is black and gray with dudes being hung upside down, being bled out slowly on this prison planet. It's crazy to see the difference in what happens here. Obviously, a lot can happen in 10,000 years. But, yeah, it's interesting to see that in the possible Sardaukar origins.
Right. Well, parts of it are still nice because when Christopher Walken's having like dinner outside with Florence Pugh, it's still like sunny, you know.
Is that on the same planet?
Yeah.
I don't think
that
so.
first scene in Dune 2?
Mm-hmm. That's where the Emperor hangs out.
Yeah, I just thought
different.
they moved the Emperor place to another planet.
I think the Emperor's planet. I think like the Sardaukar are like the only thing inhabiting that planet. I want to say.
Yeah, I thought
wrong.
that was a different planet, and wow, I pulled it up right here. That's luck with me on Google. It usually takes me 20 minutes to find what I'm actually typing in to pull up.
Job Boomer.
Thanks, dog. I'll keep going. I'll find it. But I thought it was a different planet too. I didn't think that was Sabuba Baboomba.
And then after Kieran helps Michaela escape, he comes across Constantine. And he's like, I appreciate everything you've done for me and tried to teach me, but now you're arrested for treason. So he gets taken away like, okay. And that works out in Constantine's favor, though, because since he found the traitor, he's the commander of the fleet to run things on Arrakis. So maybe that is setting things up now. Even he could still be commander of the fleet and head off to find his sister and Valya on Arrakis, you know, going against them in the next season. And, of course, the Empress and Nez are not fans of this move. Both of them are, like, looking over at him like, what did you do? Like, come on, man. Have some balls.
It is the same planet.
It is
And
the same.
Christopher Walken is a Carrino. That's what I'm reading.
I don't think it is the same planet. I'm reading that I was just about to pipe in too. It says in the first 10 minutes, the movie starts on Kaitain, Kaitain, where Princess Irulan is narrating into her dictation device. And Kaitain is a planet which was the second capital of the Carrino Empire. So I think the first capital was on Seleucia Secundus, and then they moved to Kaitain.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. Original house, Seleucia Secundus.
And I mean,
there you go.
George Lucas again, Coruscant,
Job team.
Seleucia Secundus. Is it not the same thing? It's a giant city
Coruscant?
planet. Yeah, because you see the shots
I was
of.
going to say, those words aren't similar at all. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I didn't put together that Christopher Walken was a Carino, though.
Right.
I just read that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Or,
didn't
like, make
either.
that
I guess,
connection in
they
my
run
head
forever.
with the Prophecy series.
bro, they've been the emperors for 10,000 years, and now Paul is finally taken over. I thought like the emperor would shift, like the Iron Throne in Westeros,
or like presidential terms or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Lannisters and the Targaryens. Well, the Targaryens were for a while, but still, they weren't ruling for 10,000 years.
Maybe-
and still
Yeah.
the emperor family.
I don't know for sure, but maybe there's been a time where it got taken away, then they brought it back. I'm not for
Yeah,
sure.
well,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
possible.
Yeah, but there you go. Look at us figuring stuff out.
Okay, so let's move on. You have anything else for this? We can move on to the sisterhood.
Yeah.
And chaos is continuing to break out. They take Sister Jen to see Lila. And a form mother has taken over her. She must be guided back to herself. And then Tula just leaves and immediately leaves her alone with Lila. Probably not a good idea, which, later results in not a good idea. And Lila says it wasn't a nightmare. I saw the reckoning that would drive the Imperium to tyranny. Humanity will self-destruct. And it's just like the way she's acting, it's like, it seems dangerous where like she's almost too powerful. But we kind of figure out later that I don't know if I really support what Valya was doing in the, in the sisterhood with, hiding the bodies and all that stuff. So there is this kind of both sides to it. You know what I mean?
She's got a little penguin to her.
Right.
Little penguin, yeah. Which
Yeah.
obviously we see a lot in the next episode in the finale. We see some crazy uncoverings of what exactly went down. But I do got to say, one of my theories with Lila was that she was going to come back possessed by Dorothea. I didn't know that it was going to be bouncing between like 3 different people. Like at one point it was Raquel and then it was Dorothea, but Dorothea. But I somewhat got that one right. But that was pretty wild. I got to give it to Lila in this episode and the next one, or the actress who portrays her. She does a really good job at being Lila in the first few episodes, and then Mother Raquel, and then Dorothea. Like, Dorothea is scary when she's talking, and like her mannerism and everything going on. It's like, oh my God, this is a scary possessed woman out for vengeance. Like, she really sells it. But the actress who plays Lila, she did a really good job in this show.
She did. I mean, I was saying, I hope she wasn't dead because she was one of my favorite characters. She was very interesting how she was, ahead of everyone else. That's why they put her through the agony so early.
Yeah.
And now students are demanding to be sent home. Like, things are not going well. And it's a virus, the nightmares and everything. There's like this black goo floating around inside the glass case. And then it's funny how Jen asked Tula what sacrifices she's made. It's like, girl, you obviously didn't watch episode 3 because there was a lot there, like you didn't see the flashbacks.
Maybe more than anybody else.
Yeah. And Tula found the genetic sample of Desmond. He has a power I cannot account for. And it says he has a bloodline of Atriedes and Harkonnen. So this is the first hint of, oh shit, is he Tula's son? So what did you guys think of this kind of final wrap up where she figures it out? Ben?
Not the first combination of Atriedes and Harkonnen. Or
Yeah.
the last, I should say, rather.
Well,
True.
Yeah.
Timeline wise.
I was going to say it is kind of the first.
Jessica.
I kind of felt that coming throughout the episode, and we kind of talked about on last time we were all together, when Desmond leaves the blood-stained cloth and they get it, how the way they just filmed that obviously carried a big significance.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested to see, or actually, I'll wait on that for the next episode. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I will say it wasn't Jessica, like you said, Love. Jessica actually wasn't Atriedes. She was just Harkonnen. Paul was the first Harkonnen / Atriedes. But yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I know we kind of had that feeling from the hints when he said my mother was a Bene Gesserit who gave me away. And then we kind of got like hints here and there, and there were theories out there. But I thought this was a really cool reveal, especially using Anuril. Is that the name? Is it Anuril?
Something with an A. I can't remember.
The AI device.
AI.
Oh.
Because if it's Anuril, never mind. Anuril's fine. Okay. I was thinking of the Flame of the West, Lord of the Rings. That's Anduril. Everybody, calm down. Anyways, yeah, no, I thought that was a super cool reveal. Like you guys said, he's kind of like the Paul Atriedes Kwisatz Haderach prototype. The first testing into kind of some type of being like this. But I thought this was really cool, a cool tie into that flashback scene we got with young Tula poisoning the whole camp and everything. It all came full circle, so I really appreciated that. It was a satisfying full circle moment for this season. Yeah.
All right, we want to move on to episode 6 now. This episode was a banger. It was like, what, over an hour and 20 minutes, too. Right, quick summary. Valya Harkonnen faces growing dissent as she consolidates power with the Bene Gesserit. Woo! Desmond Hart's mixed Atriedes Harkonnen lineage is revealed, hinting at Kwisatz Haderach prophecy. A shocking betrayal fractures the sisterhood, setting the stage for the finale. So we'll start with this episode did jump around a lot, where past, present, Emperor World, Sisterhood, it was going back and forth like a soap opera.
It did, but I liked it a lot more because I think episode 4 did that too, where it kept bouncing back and forth. And I was kind of getting annoyed because it was just jumping. But for some reason, the finale, it worked for me.
It made sense why they did it. Yeah.
It flowed better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll start in the past with the sisterhood. So Tula witnessed the murder of Dorothea, with a couple other acolytes, and Valya tells her, you know, even if they do try to see the truth in us, she took her own life with her own hands. No lies there.
Not a lie. Yeah.
And Tula says she's pregnant and it wasn't by force, and she wants to keep the baby. And Valya's like looking at her like, did you fall in love with this guy? But she still got the job done. And this is where the pact begins of sisterhood above all. You know, like this whole the main group of them, and well, they go into the genetic code part, and they paired Yaviko and Natalia, who are together now, of course. And how do they, they want to know how they can get Natalia into the sisterhood before she takes the throne, and it's like, no, her daughter will be the one we take over, and bring her into the sisterhood. Mm-hmm. And she shows Tula that her child is destined for great things, which debatable on which side you're on, but and then this final confrontation between all of the sisters after Dorothea's death, and she's trying to get him back on her side, saying, we must be united. And, if they won't follow you, a threat will always work as the next thing you do, or a little ultimatum. And she uses the voice on all of them, saying, choose. And it's just this mass suicide where, like, they're not even, like, it's weird how she does that, because it's just like, okay, say yes or slit your throat. There's no thinking. There's no in between, like one or the other. And so that was wild how that she just cleared house.
Dude, that was super cool because of the creative uniqueness to that scene behind it. Like, they found a lot of cool different ways to use the voice in this show, just in the small amount of time we've had with it. We get a really cool scene later at the end of this episode too, with Valya using the voice. But this was just like the choose thing. It's like immediately, if they know they're not going to be joining Valya, they just have no chance other than just to end their lives. And if they are, they're fine, kind of deal. But like, this was intense with all of them just yelling in the voice choose at all these people in this circle, and they're just dropping left and right. I thought this was super creative, really good, or I guess not really good writing, but just a really creative way to write the voice. I thought this was super cool. And right before that too, I thought it was really interesting seeing Anuril finding Haviko and the Empress when they're going through this and they're doing the planning, like what's the perfect match to set up to take control. And we're seeing all these different genetics that the system is running through. All in all, I thought I loved these flashback scenes. These were the best flashback scenes of the show for sure. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, and maybe not the most important, but like one of, I would say. Like we obviously know what happened with Dorothea off the jump, but we never really knew what happened to the rest of like her followers essentially.
Yeah.
Like, did they leave freely? Right. Like, not quite.
Yeah, kinda.
In
a way, from a certain point of view.
Like, obviously the word was choose, but it felt just like she might as well have just said kill yourself. Because like you said, there wasn't a thinking process. It was just like, choose, done.
Yeah,
right.
Which was pretty wild. Except for there is one person that chooses.
Yeah.
Sister of Eva.
The old lady. She's the old
lady.
Now.
I was just gonna say, now that I think about it, I don't think I saw anybody not slit their throat, but I guess that was the one person. Wow. Which is kind of wild and makes sense to the way she's acted in the previous parts of these seasons. Like, she's kind of been skeptical, not really fully bought in, doesn't really buy into Tula and Valya, and now it's like, oh, that's
like,
why.
But she's scared for her life.
Her actions for Valya just seem more out of fear than loyalty.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't believe in her. She's just like, you didn't tell Valya?
She's just on edge at all points. Like, yeah, dude. And again, it makes total sense now. That was just crazy scene.
And then the final flashback scene is Tula and baby Desmond. And she tells him, you deserve to find your own path. Not mine, not Valya's, not the sisterhood's. And I feel like she was making the right decision in the moment. Like obviously it didn't end well.
Yeah.
That'd be such a hard decision to do, but I mean, Valya would have just used her as a tool, used him as a tool in a different way, you know, which he ended up being in the long run. But at least it was for Shai Hulud, the goat. So
I feel like if Desmond was able to see that scene, if Tula was able to touch his mind and give him that memory of Tula
Little
saying that,
Dumbledore?
and he sees it exactly, some type of pensieve type of deal. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but you
Pensive?
know what I mean? The milky white substance, yeah. A different
Baby.
type. I feel like if he was able to glimpse that moment, he would be able to forgive her because obviously he's got this chip on his shoulder. He keeps telling people, you know, the Bene Gesserit mother of mine gave me away. She left me. She got rid of me. Yada yada yada. What kind of mother gets rid of her child? And so yeah, I think if he could see that scene, and maybe that will be the thing that turns him in season 2, because he obviously has, we see him do some stuff with Tula at the end of this episode. But I think that we could come back and maybe he gets a glimpse of what that happened there, and he has more understanding for Tula's decision there. But you know,
I kind of think too, like any part of his true self that's left, or like there's a part of him that's maybe blaming her for his present situation and like what he is now too.
oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah. And shout out Victor Alcantara in the chat again. We see you, my boy. Thank you for joining us again here tonight, sir. We appreciate it.
Just got into the finale. Perfect timing.
All right.
Let's go to the sisterhood in the present now. So they basically figure out the virus is feeding off of fear. Another, fear is the mind killer.
Yeah.
And they're gonna try to alter their molecules to generate a cure. And she's gonna try to basically stop herself from being burned on the inside, burned alive from the inside, which obviously doesn't end well. And it looks like the virus looks so alien to where, like something from another world in a way, which obviously it is. But how did you like how they kind of portrayed this virus in in this glass case taking over her body from just over there, didn't have to be in the same spot as her.
Well, I think that was like a projection of what was happening in her body. Like we were seeing it happen on a screen, like almost like an X-ray or an MRI of them seeing her cells, and they had projected her cells there so they could see it fighting it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's alien, but it's also computeristic in a way. It's again, because we do find out it's a thinking machine disease that's fueling this disease. But dude, I thought this was crazy. And again, this is another scene where I keep thinking, I'm like, this finale episode was probably at least a 9 for me. It was really good. There were a lot of good scenes in this, and this was one of them. Like, I think her name was Nasir, the doctor who is going through this, trying to transmutate these cells that Desmond was infecting people with, and she sees the eyes of the monster of Arrakis, says that it's not human, it's watching him, and she's using these techniques to suppress it for a while, and it's working for a minute, but then they see the more you fight to suppress it, the more it picks up and the stronger it gets, and we see it overtake her because she's fighting against it. I thought this was another like wild scene. I loved it. I thought it was crazy.
It's kind of like the AI version of the agony, because you can't really fight the agony either. You kind of just have to like stay calm.
You have to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or the box for the Gom Jabbar too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all
I thought the visuals of that was super cool. The way they showed it projected, and we got to literally see the cells fighting to defeat this virus.
It's like a back and forth battle. Like one's at like 90%, and then the other one. And...
Dude, like I was like on the edge of my seat kind of deal watching this. Like it was a really cool scene.
And this is where Tula says she's gonna go to Desmond. So obviously we'll talk about that later. And we go to Lila, and she's talking to Jessica. I think her name is it Jessica?
Scary.
Jen.
I don't think.
Jen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And she says, "Can you loosen the restraints?" And my first thought is, "Don't do it, Anakin." Like,
You dumb bitch.
and well, that was quick. And the look on her face. So this is where she switched to Dorothea, and she has that like evil little smirk on her face as she does it. Like, yeah, take that. So, and Lila shows up to the secret meeting, and when she's like she's asking for people who aren't there anymore. She's like, "Where's Sister So and So? Where's Sister So and So?"
Oh,
And
they're all
she's like,
dead.
"Where's the Mother Superior?" And you're like, "Mother Superior Valya," and she's like, "Excuse me, like who's the Mother Superior now?" Like that bit. So that was pretty funny. Jen wakes up tied up, and she does a little joint manipulation trick or something, or just like, well, she breaks her own thumbs, but then she like reconnects them back together after. That was kind of cool.
That was pretty wild. Again, yeah, Dorothea is intimidating as hell when she takes over. Like, that's why I was praising the actress, because it was like unnerving watching some of her scenes where she's reacting and just strolls into the cone of silence, and it was pretty intense. And she, you know, promises to set the sisterhood back on their righteous path and all that. It was, you see the civil war starting to brew. Yeah, she's creepy. I don't like her.
And she like stumbled right into basically a group of acolytes that was like similar to the ones that were basically following her
true.
before.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if that was on purpose or.
Right.
Hey, I
So
can
they're
use
all
this.
like, "Oh yeah, we'll listen to you."
Yeah.
We drink that Kool-Aid.
Hell yeah. Speaking our language, girl.
And to wrap it up here with the sisterhood, there is a mention of the Mentat sisters, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, are they like half Bene Gesserit, half Mentat? That's pretty crazy.
Which, if you don't know what the Mentat is, if you've read the books, you probably do. But if you don't, and you watch Dune 1, Hufar Thawat, so the guy who...
The human
how do I
calculator.
explain him? Yeah, his eyes roll back in his brain, and he starts calculating how much it costs them to go. It's one of the first scenes on Caladan?
Yeah.
That didn't feel right.
And
Can't
Polka
think
Dot Man for the Harkonnens, too.
Yes,
his name.
he's the Harkonnen Mentat. So it's basically the Bene Gesserit light kind of versions, like human calculators and whatnot, that advise and help.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting.
And this is where the other sisters find out that she is Mother Dorothea right now. And they find out Valya has been erasing records of them. Like, they just don't exist anymore. So she goes to show them, and she, like, drains the water out from the inside, the little well that's going on underground. And, she, you know, these are the remains of the most faithful. So I don't think Valya... I mean, obviously, she goes to Arrakis, which is probably a good idea, because... if she went back, I don't think she'd have much support. So, Ben, what side are you on? Are you Team Valya or are you Team Lila / Dorothea here? Oh, maybe Team Valya / Tula. You can put them on the same team.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm either team. I think they both just have major faults. If anything, out of all of that, I would side with Tula probably.
Okay.
I think she's got her head on the
It's true.
straightest out of that entire bunch.
And she even calls
a
out
possessed
Valya.
demon girl. Valya's all obviously crazy in her own ways. Tula's kind of like the most sane one,
Along
and she
for the ride.
wiped out nearly a whole family with poison, so she's not exactly an angel. Yeah, but
we all have our things.
Yeah.
I would lean towards that side, I'd say.
Dave?
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't. Dorothea is just obviously mad with vengeance, like, and she
rightfully
was
so,
kinda,
though.
No, I do, and
Yeah.
I do get that. But like Ben said, I don't really have a whole lot of trust for a vengeance-filled demon that's possessing a child's body.
And they're taking turns possessing her body.
It's like the driving decision, the driving force for every decision she's making. It's like, how am I gonna get my revenge?
Yeah, she would let all of those acolytes die if it meant that she got revenge on Valya. So I'll stick with Valya just because she's got Tula in her corner, kind of helping her not be as crazy as she could be.
And if you think of Jessica after she took the agony, she was a totally different person, where she came from, one of the best characters to almost a villain in a way.
Yeah, I mean, how can you stay the same after you go through something like that? You're gonna totally be a different person on the other side.
Well, she also became the mother and inherited all the knowledge for thousands of years.
Right.
I think that her personality shift was kind of like part of all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair.
Let's move on to the Emperor's homeworld in this time frame. So, obviously, we go back to Haviko, and he is in love. And as he said, his wife doesn't even care if they're together. Okay, like she doesn't mind at all. We can do it. And he says he wants to speak with Valya.
Yeah, fight through that. There you go.
Shut up! I muted it. Valya's over the Emperor's shit and doesn't want to speak with him though. And she says it's time to take him out. Sisterhood above all, Francesca. Get it together. Haviko confronts Desmond about Nez. And he's like, why would you do that? And he says, like, this witch has you so blind, your wife is trying to save the Imperium. And he's kind of right from a certain point of view, like Obi-Wan. And he's going to send his wife away to hang out with the side piece. And Desmond's like, dude, the Sisterhood has been behind all of this. Like, Francesca was probably sent here by Valya to do her bidding, which she was, but she doesn't go with it. But still, like, what are you doing here, Haviko? Like, the Sisterhood has been plotting all of this for years now. Like, get it together, dude.
Yeah, well, he's just obviously a very easily manipulated guy, like no backbone. So any slight sway, whoever has his ear last gets, that's how he's feeling at that time.
Right.
Yeah. Well, was it I think it was Valya. I only wrote down the quote, not who said it. I think it was Valya, if I remember correctly. But the quote is, "You've always been a weak man, always needing someone to pull the strings," which is pretty much what we've been saying about this guy over the last few episodes. And when we talked about, like, no, I don't think he's a leader. I don't think he's a true-born leader. He needs somebody to tell him what to do. And he just straight got called out to his face. You've always been a weak man. It was like, whew. Oh, he can't even deny it. That's what hurts the most. Like, it was pretty painful scene there for him.
Yeah, she said that to him when she was sitting on the throne, just like, because she's trying to get thrown into jail.
Right.
So
That's
just,
right.
Like, talks a little shit and then just amps it up, and then she's like, "You have no backbone, you fucking pussy."
You pussy.
Now we're throwing the explicit tab on there.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's a kitty cat.
Well, dude, it's a rough episode for Haviko because he goes to Natalia before that, and he's like, and he's like, they're both going behind each other's backs. She refuses to leave. She's like, "No, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm in charge now." And Desmond comes back and he's by her side, and she's like, "You will continue to wear the crown and act accordingly." It's like, all right, like, and then he goes to Valya and he's like, "All right, Valya, like, things aren't going well anymore. Like, I need your help now." Like, I never should have trusted Desmond. And he's like, "Rid me of this monster. We can go back to the things we were. We can forget everything." And she's like, "I'm sorry." That's what you're talking about. I'm sorry. It's too late. You're weak. You traded one puppet master for another. Like, you have no backbone. We made every decision you ever made. You were only an assignment. Like, brutal.
Dude, you gotta feel bad for him, especially, so we get the following scene with him where he meets up with Francesca.
Yeah.
And she's trying to talk to him. And it's after Valya has broken this to him. Like, look,
Dude.
Everything that has happened has been our plan, orchestrated by us. You think you made that decision? Nope. We decided for you to meet up with the Empress. All of this stuff was planned by us. And Mark Strong killed it. He had a great performance in the scene because I felt bad for him. He's telling Francesca, he's like, "Do you know what it feels like to realize you've never experienced a moment of freedom in your entire life? Like, you just realize, oh, I've never made a call that has been anything of my own free will." That, like, I can't imagine how devastating that would be. But yeah, I thought Mark Strong sold this because I felt so bad for him. And then he just stabs himself. Just straight stabs himself with the poison right after saying that.
He took control and finally made a decision for himself.
He did, and I can't even blame him. I can't even blame him for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that felt great, which is pretty weird considering he was killing himself. But I'm sure it felt great in a way, which is it's heartbreaking. Yeah, you really felt bad for the character in that moment. So I thought that was good writing in that moment.
I would have just pieced out to some random off-world planet and lived a simple life. You know, just leave it all,
Yeah.
Just go be a farmer.
Yeah,
It's also
right?
still making a choice of your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Slightly
You
less
could choose
drastic.
to live.
Not as cool,
Look,
though.
man, he was going through some stuff.
But the Empress comes up with the Ganju bar to Francesca. And a little Romeo and Juliet there laying together on the ground, right? So that was sad. I'm sure Constantine, we haven't seen his reaction to that yet, but I'm sure he will not be happy to see his mom and dad dead.
Yeah, no, that's a rough one. But at least he's leading the Navy with no type of mentor. Sure, it'll be fine.
It'll be good.
He's got his evil stepmother.
Desmond.
Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah, and her side piece, Desmond.
Yeah. Which, by the way, was just hilarious that once she realizes Haviko was just sleeping with the Bene Gesserit, she's like, all right, well, I'll go sleep with this guy who hates Bene Gesserit, I guess. Like, there you go. Take the high road.
Let's move on to Kieran and Nez, who the two that are eventually locked up together. And Desmond starts interrogating him, saying, you know, you didn't know Valya and Sisterhood were behind it the whole time, which I guess he kind of didn't. He didn't know Michaela was part of the Sisterhood. He thought he was, you know, there was that other older guy that he was there with mostly. So he didn't really know the Sisterhood was behind it. And he says, you know, I've got no love for the Sisterhood or the Harkonnens, but I hate you and everything you stand for, which was kind of sick, like, especially when you're locked up. He kind of reminded me of Robb Stark a couple times when he was in this scene. I don't know what it was, but he had a little Robb in him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nez tries to free him, but gets caught by the Empress. And she basically pleads for his life. And she says, you know, I wish you would come to me sooner. I wanted to teach you about power, so let this be a lesson. And has her arrested as well. And this is Valya, obviously, has just met with the Emperor, so she is also there. And the second she walks up, she does a little voice action, gets the guy to, you know, let them go. And this is where we find out that the Fates Dancer is going to take Nez's place as a disguise. But when Desmond showed up, she switched herself to one of the guards. So it was like, I was like, what was the point of her doing that in the first place? I guess it kind of worked, but
I feel like that entire plot line for Theo was unnecessary. Like,
yeah,
you didn't stay as the princess. Somebody showed up and the princess is still gone. I thought the point was you'd be there to save time. Yeah.
So you played your one card you had, and now he knows.
And yeah, the whole face dancer deal, shape shifting, seemed super unnecessary. I did not understand that at all.
And if she stayed Nez, she could have kept the charade up a little bit longer, you know?
Right. Would have been
that was the point.
Cool, interesting, another storyline off of that.
Right.
Yeah, I think they kind of fumbled that there, but
it was weird. Yeah.
She doesn't die, right? He doesn't kill him. He knocks her out, kind of.
Yeah, she's alive still.
He starts changing back.
But it was weird. And there was something else you just said about Atriedes and Valya coming in. Crap, I forgot. Oh, Inez, is she the Empress's daughter, or is she Francesca's daughter?
I think she's the Empress's daughter.
She's the Empress's. Okay, so she's half brothers with Homeboy.
So that's why she was marrying that little boy instead of him marrying a girl. I'd imagine, right? Instead of Constantine marrying a woman.
Because he's not legitimate.
Jon Snow.
Yep.
A lot of Game of Thrones references here.
Not as cool, dude. Don't even call him Jon Snow. Get out of here.
Okay, he's one of Robert's bastards in the.
There you go.
Flea Bottom.
Pick one of them.
So this is where we get to the escape, and they land on the fuel depot to get off world. Valya will provide a distraction, and I was like, yeah, one word and she can make these people turn on each other, and that's exactly what she does. She walks up, stay where you are, defend me, kill him. And that was so sick how they did it. Like, stay where you are, slits his throat. Next guy, stop, defend me, and just went through all of them so fast. And Desmond stands there like, all right, word. You can't use that on me, but that was pretty cool. What'd you guys think,
dude? Just every little difference. It wasn't the same. Like you said, it was a different way to kill each one of them using the voice, and that's what I was saying earlier. How they've been so creative with the way they've utilized the voice in this series. This was one of my favorite scenes of the entire season. This was awesome. She just strode so confidently in there, utilizing the voice like that. I love that scene.
Let's get up to the climax of the episode. No baby involved. No baby involved. Excuse me.
Oh God, thank you for the clarification.
Oh. Excuse me. When Valya confronts him. Oh, when Valya starts to get poisoned by, or not poisoned, but the virus from Desmond starts to attack her. And that was a really cool transition from old to young Valya, where she like screams Griffin and the snow blows in her face and it transitions to young her again. And this was kind of like the opposite of Arrakis planet. I don't know exactly where we were. It wasn't even a real planet, but
No, it's a flashback to the scene of her saving her brother.
Yeah,
okay.
that ice
That's
planet.
right. You're right.
Where
you're
they're
right.
from.
Yeah.
With the fur whale.
For a whale, yes.
Yeah,
Tula arrives, and this is where she says, it's not human, it's a machine. So this is where, tell you can't fight it. You have to go against it. You have to basically accept your past, the messed up shit you've done. And then also she's just standing there, and the black smoke coming off of Valya was really cool. The CGI they used there. It almost seemed like she was like disintegrating in a way, but wasn't. Or like her cloak was in the back. And she gets the vision of Arrakis. This is like Desmond's rebirth, and we get the thinking machines. And they pull his eyeball out and are like fixing it, putting little devices in there, and they put it back together. And there is this cloaked figure standing off in the background. And you're thinking like, who is this person? So do we have any theories on who this might be?
I got one, but Dave, you can go first. If
Shoot.
You got.
Nah.
So-
Shoot from the hip there.
When I was kind of rewatching and watching recaps today, I don't know why this entered my mind, but I think it is young Oscar Tolley, Mr. Atriedes himself.
Oh.
Circling back to him being the lone survivor. We get the stag at the end of that scene, when after
Okay.
everybody's dead. And then he's just kind of ruining,
Bold.
like getting his revenge, like taking out the sisterhood. Because that's mainly who's been targeted, right? All the acolytes and so yeah, that's my guess.
And Atriedes? The Atriedes guy?
I think his name's Albert. We don't ever really get that said, I don't think, but
Because he's the one survivor from the Tula massacre.
Right.
Okay.
Which Kieran did confirm for us. He told the story about his dad, who warned him about a story of a hunting party where a monster slaughtered all of them in their sleep, and that's why you don't trust a Harkonnen. It essentially confirmed the fact that yes,
Right.
Kieran Atriedes is related to the kid who survived that entire thing. I like it. I like that, Ben. I don't have any personal theories that are of my own accord. There's a lot of theories out there. Like there's one main kind of artificial intelligence character from the books and whatnot called Omnius. It's a self-proclaimed title of the collection of powerful artificially intelligent entities which tyrannically ruled the empire prior to the AI war. So Omnius is one. I think the other one was like Azumen, but they're multiple AI figures and people that were important throughout this whole time period, throughout the 10,000 years leading up to Paul Atriedes. So I'm not positive, but those are the main theories going around online, is that it's a main AI figure.
Okay.
But for me personally, yeah, I know there were theories earlier about the Leto the Second being involved in this. I don't think that's the case.
The worm?
I don't think that's what
The
this
kid
is
who
gonna
turns
be
into a
leading
worm or
into,
something?
but the guy who transfers from a worm, and which is his story is wild. He turns into what he's known as the God Emperor because he starts this whole holy war and all these people get slaughtered, and it's wild because his main point is he's omniscient essentially as much as Paul is, and he sees that the only way for humanity to survive is for them to unite and fight against a greater enemy. So he literally becomes that greater enemy to unite humanity, make them stronger, because he sees through his omniscient whatever the
That's
visions
kinda
he
cool.
has, that the only way for them to survive is to band together. So he becomes that driving force that drives them to band together. So it's
Yes,
pretty
it's-
wild.
His
Like-
Doctor Strange one outcome moment.
Yes, exactly. But
that's
yeah, so I
God
don't think
Emperor
that's
Doom?
him in this. That's God Emperor Doom there too. There you go. Tie into the whole next MCU phase we got coming up here. He might pop up. Hey, Secret Wars. Stay tuned. But yeah, those are the main theories I've seen surrounding it.
Right, because I don't
But-
think it's not someone we've met
Yeah.
in this show. Obviously, it's going to be a
I
new
don't think
character in
so.
the next season.
Right.
I do think it's a human though, just the way the shape of the hooded. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a human working with AI. Obviously, the AI was the one clipping the eyeball and putting the
Yeah.
virus in and all that stuff. But there's obviously a hooded figure who is that human. But yeah, I couldn't say who it would be. Maybe
But he
it's Paul Atriedes.
survived the worm attack, or the worm like went down in front of him and spared him.
That's what I don't get. Or is this figure in leagues with the worm, and the worm captured him and then brought him to this figure? Like that's what I don't.
Yeah,
Or did
right.
did they just capture him normally and implanted this memory of a worm attack? Maybe the worm attack. So I don't know. I don't really know what the backstory to that essentially is.
Maybe
but-
the hooded figure is a Fremen, and they were riding that worm. Maybe
could
they
be.
somehow veered away at the last second, jumped off real fast, grabbed him. But that's still
Stilgar's great. No.
You missed one.
But dude, I did want to say that whole scene with Valya and the blizzard as she's going to Griffin trying to save him, and dude, I thought the cinematography of this scene was beautiful. This was really cool because we saw earlier in the episode when Homegirl is trying to fight the virus, and it's white and black. When she's winning and her body's fighting it off, the white dots are overflowing. When the virus starts to overtake her and defeats her, it goes to black. And we saw the same thing in this blizzard. The color scheme of this shot was Valya crawling along the ice, and when it got stronger, the wind was picking up the ice, but it was turning it black. And so we saw these black gusts coming across this white ice. And so we literally visually saw her fighting the virus in her mind as a blizzard on a patch of ice. So I just thought the entire shot was super creative. Really thought that was cool. We're just seeing the white overtaking and the black coming back. And the whole internal battle, the way they shot it, I thought was really cool. It was just a great way of painting that fight that she had against this. And I thought it was emotional too, with Tula talking her through it and everything. Obviously, Tula has her issues with Valya because Valya is pretty sketchy. But it got emotional, and you could tell how much Tula truly cared about her, talking her through this whole situation. And training her, like you said, so she's training her to let go of her fear. And like you said before, the line, fear is the mind killer. We don't get it spoken in this episode, but we pretty much do. It's the big phrase of Jessica's, big phrase in the books. It's one of the main statements of the Bene Gesserit is fear is the mind killer.
Rule number one.
And the whole premise here was she had to let go of her fear. It was the only thing that they couldn't fight against and overcome and transmutate. So again, it kind of felt like another origin to the line, fear is the mind killer. I feel like from here on out, that's what they're going to be saying a lot now after they realize that fear was the driving force of this virus.
Better than the face dancer.
Yes.
You know.
I don't get that one. But the last thing I want to say on this was we see the virus is put into Desmond's eye when it's brought out by the AI. And we've been talking about it. It felt like it really put a cap to what feels like hundreds of shots of eye symbolism in these 6 episodes in this season. I talked about it last episode too. We kept seeing symbolism of an eye, overhead shots of a circle with something in the middle, all these shots of an
the
eye.
nightmare
and-
pictures.
Yes, everything. There were just so many things connected to an eyeball in this season, and then we find out that's where the virus is in Desmond. So I thought that was a nice little cap to it all.
My first thought was he doesn't need 2 eyes to live. Just pull that bitch out, cut it off, and patch it up. And
Absolutely.
That's what I thought Tula was gonna walk over and do.
yeah,
And she like stands up to Valya and uses the voice on her and is like, she's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna kill him, and she's like, no, you're not. This is my last straw.
Yeah.
That's my son.
and
But I thought she was gonna walk over and just do that. Yeah, because I mean, he lives, and it's better than what he's going through right now. So.
yeah. And Valya didn't know that Desmond lived. She thought they switched it with the stillborn child, so Valya assumed that he died. And Tula says, I gave you everything. I couldn't give you him too. That's such a great line.
Yeah.
Like all the carnage,
Valya
deception,
learns-
by your orders.
Right. Well, and she realizes how bad that looks because she learns her sister didn't even trust her to have her own child. Like her sister was afraid of her child's well-being because of Valya, and she was like, "Did you think I would like not approve or not let you like?" She realizes how kind of hardcore her actions and whatnot are leaving this effect on her sister and how she sees her now. So that was super interesting. Real quick, Victor Alcantara in the chat said he liked the series. It made him curious to see more. He says, I confess that I'm too lazy to understand all the references, but I like it if the enemy is still an AI, like a robot controlling an AI. And then we got JD Purvis joining us in the chat, says, agree with everyone about the worm. That part did not make sense to me. And so, I'm curious. I haven't looked it up to see exactly if that was an actual worm attack or just a memory implanted, but it was kind of weird.
Could have been.
Yeah.
So Tula and Desmond embrace. She kind of brings them in. Seems like they're gonna have a little moment there, and you can tell he does kind of he reasons with her for a second, but then he goes back to himself, has her arrested like he likes to do. Just don't finish anyone off. Just arrest them, and maybe I'll do something later, or they can break free. Yeah. And you were talking about the Valya scene and the shot of the ship like space traveling through the sky, like the budget for this show. The show looked great from all the big scale. There wasn't a lot of big scale scenes, but like the shots of Seleucus Secundus were like the depot with all the like different landing ports in a circle, and you see like the buildings in the background. Like it was beautiful CGI.
It was, and I saw some of the behind the scenes footage, and they built some pretty cool sets that weren't green screen. Like they built some of the fight choreography scenes were like actual sets they built. But if you're talking about that scene where it was the wormhole, and it's literally like it was a super unique way of doing it. When Marvel does it, it's the honeycomb thing that they come through when they're jumping through time. Star Wars has hyperspace where they're jumping through the tunnel. This was literally space folding. Yeah. It was space folding around each other and the stars fold. That looked so cool. It looked like the most realistic portrayal of a wormhole I've ever seen. It looked awesome.
Mm-hmm. Kieran and Nez fight off the soldiers. This is another good action scene. They escape to Arrakis, and Valya tags along. I was surprised they, waited for her. It seemed like she took a little bit to get there, but she made it. So what do you guys think? You have any kind of theories or thoughts for season 2 about what could be going on in Arrakis here? You think they try to, set this Kwisatz Haderach prophecy in motion? Or you think, maybe Constantine shows up with Desmond?
Yeah, a lot of possibilities for sure. I feel like they're going to spend a lot of time on Arrakis. But yeah, I mean, like Valya and Tula really, I feel like they can't go back at this point. Like, what are you going back to?
Well, Tula's arrested, remember?
No, I know, but like probably for her own benefit.
Yeah, right.
Because if she doesn't get arrested, then she just goes back and...
They probably kill her, right?
Yeah, nothing good would happen, that's for sure. So they both kind of escape that and don't really know it, too. So I want to kind of see...
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to figure out without having to go back, would be my guess. Just like somehow word gets out to them.
Yeah, that Lila's taken over the sisterhood.
So that aspect, that conflict there. And then Dave kind of touched on this, but just like who's going to be in power...
right.
Like, how is that going to affect Nez? So we'll see. I am glad we get a second season. So
yeah,
looking forward.
Yeah,
to
that did get confirmed. So if anybody out there was wondering, this started as a mini series, but season 2 has been greenlit. So
do you have any
continue?
Do you have any kind of thoughts or expectations for the next season after how they kind of ended this on Arrakis?
I don't know. I kind of expected more screen time on Arrakis in this episode or this season. We only saw flashbacks essentially till the end of this season here. So I don't know what to expect as far as that goes. I'm excited to see what they do on Arrakis, especially with the budget we've seen. But yeah, I expect to see the Civil War of the Bene Gesserit roll out. I expect to see a new change of leadership in the Empire, but maybe again the origin of the Sardaukar and whatnot there. But I don't know. But I'm excited, which isn't always the case. I can't really picture what we're getting next season, but I am very excited that they got greenlit.
Yeah. And hopefully, let's do 8 episodes. I mean, if they pulled it off
go
in
back
the end.
to 12.
I did see today someone wrote that it was 6 because of the strike. That was one of the main reasons. So
Interesting.
I'm guessing.
All right.
I think
8.
it'll be 8, hopefully at least.
Right.
And then one scene we didn't really talk about was Sister Avila giving Dorothea it's like a wrench or something, and them going in and destroying the AI.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
that was a pretty big deal.
That's true. So I guess they have to go. That's maybe why it takes so long to get to Paul after that.
But that also leads me to believe that Valya will win this civil war, because as we see in the Dune movies, like, they have still planning for generations of like this family and this family being together and this and this.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is all Valya's side. The other side doesn't want that to happen. So
that's very true. Yeah, because even with Fade Rotha, he gets
he's
one
like
of the Bene Gesserit pregnant.
Plan B, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I guess we might see on Arrakis, speaking of that again, we might see Valya interacting with the Fremen, and maybe she starts planting the Lisan al-Gaib, Kwisatz Haderach prophecy within the Fremen people. Maybe this is the origins to that, so we see her spreading the word there while she's on Arrakis. I feel like that would make sense.
Little campfire story.
Yeah.
Another
Start
origin.
Small, 10,000 years, just wait.
I'm sure they'll cover every single one by the end of season 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But what sucks is, like, I don't care about Constantine's future. So, like, if he's going to be a big point in taking over the Empire and whatnot, I didn't really like him as a character, so I'm not really interested in seeing a big plot point with Constantine's whatever is going on there. But I am very interested with Arrakis and with Lila / Dorothea / Raquel back at the Bene Gesserit deal.
I could also see, I just kind of thought of this, maybe the Empress getting rid of him, not necessarily killing him, but like, that's not her son.
Yeah.
And her just kind of assuming power with Desmond.
She could just send him to Arrakis with the fleet.
Yeah.
If I was her, I'd do it. But...
Well, I mean, yeah, she just killed Francesca in cold blood, so she could easily kill him too. But
yeah. JD in the chat asked if we knew if the sisterhood had been established in the south of Arrakis. I don't think so. So the south is where the fanaticism really kicks off in Arrakis. It's where the Harkonnens and the Imperium didn't realize that it was
so populated,
habited, that there were people there. Yeah.
People
so that's
there
an
at all.
interesting question.
Yeah, interesting. We'll probably find out
Victor
next
wasn't a fan of Inez and Kieran's fight, by the way. Said it looked like a Power Rangers fight.
I agree. I agree, Victor.
Yeah.
Especially kind of how I touched on, like, the last time we see Inez fighting, she's struggling in practice against Kieran, like, can't even touch him, and now she's wiping out soldiers left and right.
She did just pick them apart pretty easily with their shields activated.
She wasn't in the mood.
That's a fair point, Victor.
That was a part of the episode where I was like, we're getting a little cheesy with how easy this is for her.
Right?
Or
Those
at least
suck.
show her when you show her practicing, like, killing it, training with him.
Yeah. That's fair. And sorry, before I let you continue there, Love, Victor did have a question. Actually, Victor, we'll cover that right before we head out of there. He was asking about what series we'll be covering next year between Daredevil, The Last of Us, Sandman, Alien Earth, and/or Season 2. Off the top of my head, I think Daredevil, right? That's in March.
Right. We'll be covering Daredevil, Last of Us, and Andor. I don't know if we'll be doing Alien Earth or what was the other one?
Sandman, which have you seen that?
No.
I've heard really good things.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. I want to watch it. I haven't seen season 1, but I and the clips I see on YouTube, it looks very interesting. So
It's not very superhero like, right? You know, it's
no,
like a
it's
side
DC,
genre.
but it's not like right. Yeah. So Victor, our pod's got to get caught up on the Sandman there. But Daredevil, I think out of all that will be our first, and then Andor after that.
Yes.
But sorry. Anyway.
Let's wrap it up with some overall thoughts on the season and a rating for the season as a whole. Who wants to start it off? Dave?
Yeah, I thought it was an awesome finale. Like I said, I think I'd give this finale a 9 maybe. And I haven't rewatched it, so I might rewatch it and get more critical and drop that. But as of now, I just really enjoyed it, and I thought there was really satisfying scenes from start to finish. Third act was very satisfying, answered a lot of questions that we had while still leaving questions that will make for a solid season 2. Like I said, we had emotion with Valya's fear, and Tula and Desmond's reconnection was pretty. I thought that was a nice emotional kind of scene there. We got the end of Haviko. The entire aspect with Lila and Dorothea was solid, and I thought the season as a whole, I think it was just a good season. I didn't know what to expect from it. I wasn't very excited about it, but I think it gave us great characters, and Valya Harkonnen, Tula even. Not as great of a character in my opinion, but by the end of the series, I really liked her, and I think the actress did a really good job. And Desmond was an awesome character, played phenomenally by Travis Fimmel. Really glad he lived to see the next season, and we're going to get more screen time with him. Inez and Atriedes aren't bad characters. Side characters, they probably are going to have bigger roles in the next season, and I think they have to pick up some of their acting and whatnot if they're going to be as successful. I think some of their scenes were good, some of their scenes were meh. But overall, I enjoyed the season. I thought it was a really cool entry that I didn't expect anything from. But rating wise, I actually, again, maybe I'll change this. Maybe I drop it after I rewatch the season. But I liked it. For now, I got an 8.4. I thought it was a pretty solid series that I enjoyed. First 2 episodes and last 2 episodes. Episode 3 and 4 dragged a little bit, but
That's fair. Ben?
Yeah, I think when we got done talking last episode, we had a lot of questions of if they could pull it off. We didn't really think they could with the 6 episodes, and like you said, I thought they did a good job of giving us some other stuff to think on, but also answering questions as well. I had higher expectations going in. I thought just that I'm thinking of the Dune movies, right? That's probably partially why my expectations were so high. And I'm also a lot more critical than you two with my judging, kind of a snob in my film and TV scores. I gave it a 7.1, just partially, I guess, because of the 6 episodes and that middle slow part. But again, that's not a 7.1 on everyone's scale. Like, something's got to be extraordinary for me to give like over an 8.5. So
That's good. Yeah. I'm the same, but that's a 9. It has to be exceptional to be a 9. I'm a little more generous.
oh, I was gonna say you've been giving out 10s back in the early days, there, Mr.
Whoa.
No, I mean I think you only gave like Dark Knight a 10, but
I mean,
early days. I think you changed. Well, I don't believe in 10s, so
same. No, yeah, I was gonna say I have nothing's a 10. My favorite movie of all time is probably not a 10, but
I think it's a
Again.
9.5 for me is my highest. Yeah.
yeah.
sticklers. All right, well, my overall thoughts. I thought the world building was awesome. Like finding out more about the Bene Gesserit and their plans to rule the Imperium. Everything else we got, even though it was a lot of origin stories, some of them are great. There were a lot of cool, complex characters, and it was like, who's the good guy here, which I also liked, where everyone had 2 sides to them. There wasn't a true protagonist to this season. Like maybe it is Lila, you know, never know in the end.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the plot of the prophecy and manipulation going on, which obviously ties into Dune as well, where there's, is it really a prophecy or were you just kind of forced into this position? The pacing was kind of off though with the flashbacks, even though those stories were paid off in the end. But I don't love having a full flashback episode. I would have liked more Nez in the last few episodes. I feel like she kind of took the back seat to other people, but I think her role will expand the next season. So I do have it at an 8.2. Thought it was pretty solid. It's below Rings and House of the Dragon for me. So, and the 6 episodes, you kind of have to give it a little deduction for that. But still a great show, and we will be here for season 2 whenever that comes out, maybe 2 years, 3 years from now. Takes a while these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I just realized that I had this higher than House of the Dragon season 2.
Oh.
Which doesn't check out with my top 5 series of the year, so I guess I'm gonna have to revisit that.
That's a controversy.
It's a controversy indeed.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ben and Dave, for coming tonight. And thank you for all our YouTube viewers out there. Victor, JD, we love the questions. Please come back next time when we're going to do, like I said, we have our 3rd annual City Awards coming up, our yearly award show.
Yeah, buddy.
And a box office draft. Mufasa and Sonic 3 have been in the box office for about two weekends now. So we have to obviously give it a little more time. Hopefully, go out and see it. Take your kids. Go see it again if they loved it.
Maybe see it 3 times.
Right? Go to IMAX. Pay a little extra, So.
Yeah, tune in for that. And we have our next year's draft that we got to get into because it's 2025 now. So we got to have that 2025 draft. So that'll be coming out here soon, too.
I think Captain America, or is it Captain America's first? Correct? That's May.
Yeah,
I think there's
February.
something. February.
Is it May?
No, you're right. Thunderbolts is May.
Okay.
Because they're 3 months apart. I think it's February. So we have to get the draft out before Captain America comes out.
Before February. Yeah, because obviously that's going to be drafted. By the way, Sonic 3 has 210 million worldwide right now after over a week release.
Okay.
And Mufasa, $342 million.
Let's go.
So it's doing explicit indeed. So yeah, it's
we're an hour and a
doing
half
pretty
in.
good.
We can start fucking testing if we want to.
Yeah, the kids have gone to bed. It's doing good. International 214 mil compared to domestic 128. So the world is loving Mufasa. There you go.
Let's go, China.
That's a pretty solid. We have no idea what you need to win, but again, stay tuned. We will update you guys on that.
I think I need like a good 600 mil, maybe around there from each.
I think after War of the Rohirrim, your needs are a lot less than they should be.
That's true.
Which is
but
sitting
Moana,
at $18 million right now.
Moana is like
$18 million.
Moana is I think 800 million.
Wow, is that JD's?
Mm-hmm. Can you double check that for me?
I'm gonna double check it. 18 million though, in case you guys missed that.
That's crazy.
18. Moana 2, 900 mil.
Whew. Yeah,
it's gonna hit a Billy.
So he could make a little comeback there at the end with that. So,
all right,
stay tuned. It's a photo finish. Yeah. It's gonna be a photo finish.
It is. Good.
All right. Well, thank you, and we will join you next time on Why So Sidious, a nerd podcast.
Or you'll join us.
Whoops.
Oh, went a bit longer than I was thinking, but good stuff.
Yeah.
That was a jam-packed finale,
Yeah, and it was an hour 20.
2 episodes.
So.
Yeah. There you go. Podcast episodes just as long as the finale. I think that checks out.
Hell yeah, that was fun.
Yep. Good deal, gents. Ben, thanks for hopping on. Do we, again, it probably won't be in the next couple weeks or anything, but are you guys wanting to do the whole Dune book episode? Just talking about